Welcome to the All Ambient podcast, where we dig into the creative process, hear untold stories, and explore the brilliant minds behind some of the finest ambient music out there. I'm your host, Mike Graff. I'm excited to be in this together with you. Let's get going. Again, welcome to the All Ambient podcast, everyone. My name is Mike Graff. I make music as Dear Gravity. We have a music news episode for you this week, and we talk about some recent developments that imply the major labels are taking measure that impacts independent artists. And this is not a brand new thing. Versions of this have happened for decades, but there are some new developments that are happening that could very well impact a plethora of independent artists. Some interesting things to talk about. We didn't shy away from the tough things on this one. It is worth chewing through and arriving at your own conclusion on what you would do if the situation were to arise where a major were to offer an opportunity to an indie to purchase the rights to your master recordings, and why that may not be the call that you want to make. Lots to talk about. Let's dig right into this week's music news episode. All right, everyone, welcome to another music news episode of the All Ambient podcast. Hey, Kirk Smith, Ben Tatlow, Marshall Usinger, really glad to be here together with you. Welcome, guys.
What's up?
Hey,
it's
Mike.
great to be here. How's everybody?
It's great to be here.
Great to see y'all. Kirk, you have done some new stuff with that studio. We talked a little bit about it off recording before we hit the go button, but tell me what's going on in your space, what all you've been up to, and what, because it looks like a lot of stuff's happened, but you said that you have a little bit yet to go. What's the final goal? And
it's still in process.
Looking great so far, man. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, no, it's feeling a lot better. It started when water came into the studio, and I had different. Yeah, right. So that's always the best way to start things. And,
did it wreck stuff? Did anything
it didn't wreck?
die?
No, it didn't wreck any gear. It just wrecked the floor, and the floor was basically
man.
just carpet and concrete. So
Okay.
it was just. I was like, I think I want to do a floor, but I also think I need to reseal all the doors, and so it was like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger on the floor because that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for a desk to come. Hopefully it should be here by the 20th.
What did you get?
Oh, I'm very excited and slightly nervous. It's a built-in. It's got it's a 88 dope fur weighted thing built into the desk by
Awesome.
Adam Christajo. I don't know how to say his last name. I wish I did. I'd give him a shout out. Christajo Designs. But it's really cool. It's called the Jayhawk. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and I'm like, okay, I need to basically take apart my entire studio to do this floor. And then while I'm at it, I want to get some beams basically drilled into the framing so that they're heavy enough so I can have guitars. Because it's like, it's a very small space. So anything I can hang on a wall is going to give me more, square footage to be in.
Yeah. Yep.
So that, and I had like a weighted controller over here, but I wanted the desk so I wouldn't be moving back and forth. And so I've taken everything apart. And so I said, well, this would be a good time to like get things and put it all back together. So I'm waiting on the desk and I'm waiting on the piano, and then I'll be locked and loaded and ready to.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Man. So, I mean, it's like you were talking about in the last episode about having like downtime intentionally for January, which is going to be amazing. I'm excited for that. Yeah. But this has been unintentional downtime due to technical difficulties.
Yep. Hurry up and wait. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's been good, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, I want to start having, an office again.
Yeah. No joke.
Yeah. But it's been great. So we're
That's really
rounding
cool,
third.
It's fun to see it.
Wait, Kirk, so does the desk come with does it come with an 88 key thing? Oh,
so
dude,
so he builds and designs them with the keyboard built into it.
Wow. That's freaking sick, dude.
I'm really excited. I've always wanted one, but I've never wanted to pull the trigger. And then I'm slightly terrified that I'm going to sit at it and I'm going to be like, my arms. I don't like my arms here. I want my arms here. And it's like, well,
yes.
You need to deal with it.
What's the tag again?
It's called a Jayhawk. Is the name of the desk. If you look up, but his name is Adam Christajo.
Christgau, or however you say Christgau. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like Christ GAU. Yep.
Yes. Christ JU Designs.
Holy cow!
dude.
Look at that thing. Yep.
That is so sick.
He's got lots of different versions. Mine is just flat. It's like a flat piece of wood with the thing built in. And then he's built me 2 U racks that'll sit on the back of the desk. Because I didn't want racks built in necessarily because I was just afraid I'd not like, where they were, like they were too close or too far away. So I'm just going to be able to slide and move them around.
Kirk is over here flexing, man. You got to level up.
I'm excited. I'm terrified. Adam's been great, but it's just one of those things. I've had the same Guitar Center slab of wood desk probably since I want to say 2005.
Yeah.
And I took the casters off because I felt like it was too tall. And then I took all the racks off the back so I could have my computer on it. And it's this has just been my little dude for forever. So it's going to feel very strange at first to have a new...
Some cool stuff.
Well, just a different ergonomics of my elbows are over here and my hands rest here. And I'm excited, but it'll be an adjustment.
It's going to be great. Yeah. All those funny little things. Yeah. Just, you think you've thought about everything and and then it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it's
I bought I bought a chair. Okay. I bought a studio chair. So I was like, I'm going to buy the studio chair that is good. Yep. And then I get it and I sit it and I'm like, this feels weird. The back is to this and the footrest is weird. And it's I can't work. I need my chair that I'm used to. It's I'm such a I'm a creature of habit. It's where it's just
absolutely. I'm with you.
Can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be. Next week, hopefully.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome.
How long was the kind of back and forth with him of just getting it situated?
Just a few emails back and forth just to kind of finalize dimensions and keyboards and stuff like that. And then all these boxes you guys can see this, all the legs. So he's already sent the legs and I'm gonna get them together.
Yeah.
And because I'm doing the standing one, and the only reason I'm doing the standing one is not because I don't plan on standing and working. Maybe that's a good thing. I should do that, but I really did it because I was so nervous about building the desk and it being a half inch too tall or a half inch too short and my knees bumping the thing. And I'm like, I just got to get a standing desk because I don't want to put this desk on a bunch of dictionaries in order to get it to where it needs to be.
So with this, you can level it down, you can kind of adjust it, or
you can raise it and lower it.
Yeah. Awesome. Great.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then the only other cool thing that I'm excited about is that he just started making one where there's a slide out tray underneath the keys.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm not sure if I'm going to like it or not, but I love that I have
Mouse
the option.
And keyboard.
So I could put because I'm always afraid of because I'll see Hans Zimmer or whoever, and they got their little built-in thing and they got the keyboard on the top. But I'm like, is that not annoying to have your wrist hang on the keys while you're typing or something? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, I don't know that I would actually like that. So I asked him, I was like, hey, do you make slide out trays underneath the key bed? And he's like, actually, I just started making those. And I was like, okay, that's it. That's all I needed. I'm going to try it. So I was
awesome.
I am super nervous, but I'm also excited.
That's my thing I have a platform desk like many of us do.
Yeah.
And man, I've had these times where I've tried to I have a couple synths, as you fellows know, that I have tried to make work as as my MIDI controller, and I'll try and put them on the drawer slide out thingy, and the knobs on the synth are literally just a half inch too high to where I can't push the drawer all the way in. I'm like, dang it, dude, and I'm not. I can't. Yeah.
I'm not trying to interrupt you. I had the exact same thing happen with my giant. I have the Studio Logic Grand or whatever, the SL80. I love it. It's just an incredible controller. Absolutely love it. But it was too big for that. So I was just so stubborn about it. I was like, no, this is my desk. this is my controller. It's going to work. And so I had my wife's uncle. He was an engineer, but he's also great with carpentry and all that stuff. So we he kind of put together these blocks that dropped the, they're super secure because that thing's super heavy, that controller, but it drops the whole pull-out drawer down like 3 inches. So
nice.
And then we kind of varnished it so that it looks like it's part of the desk too. And so it's totally a custom job. But yeah, Marshall, you are not alone in
I'm sure, right? There's
And how many other controllers are in the same, scenario where it's like, you probably need like another 1/2 inch, you guys. Like you could have just made that call.
I know, like I've literally been like about to take a sander to like the top of this thing just to like, I'm like, okay, I can like, I'm going to sand this thing down a few inches and see how we do. But man.
Or, just chop off the ends of your synth and you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just, or the tops for that matter.
Take all the knobs you find.
I don't need these.
Or just take one knob, just keep one knob by your mouse. And every time you want to adjust it, you just take it off, put it on the thing.
There you go.
like a 1950s telephone operator. Like,
totally. This is going to work. I paid money for this.
Oh, well, we could probably go forever on just shooting the breeze. I'm going to attempt to rein us in a little bit just for the sake of honoring the time of our listener, honoring the time of day that we happen to be recording this, all that fun stuff. Music news. I am going to pull up a clip here and I'm going to play the audio into my microphone. This is a clip, I believe, on our illustrious all ambient roundtable Instagram message thread. Somebody talking about what is happening as far as major labels exploring business model shifts into the idea of paying more attention to the independent artist. And it's pretty fascinating. I will just, put a disclaimer right up front that, a lot of this is speculative in a sense. There's not like hard facts that are coming down the pipeline saying that there are things happening right now that are in line. But truthfully, there's, we can all see, little bits of what this guy's talking about already happening in some senses. And we've all got stories to share on that. But I just want to play this clip real fast and then we'll just kind of talk a little bit about this and away we go.
Mm-hmm. Just got off the phone with a friend who had a very high ranking position at one of the big 3 record labels. He just got laid off and he kind of gave me the inside scoop of what's going on at these record labels right now. They're switching their entire business model to independent artist services and distribution. What this means is they no longer have to sign you to make money off of you. They're also focusing on buying up playlisting companies, social media marketing companies, etc. Anything that has to do with promoting and marketing and distributing music for independent artists. Not only do they make money immediately from you just uploading the song and trying to promote it, but they also have all that data that they can use to predict when a song's about to go viral. And they get that data before the artist. Once they predict the song's about to blow up before it goes viral, they will swoop in and try to offer a 360 deal to the artist. That master recording contract is going to favor the label because you don't know yet that you're about to have a viral song, but they do. They finally found the perfect business model to not only exploit the artists that they have signed to the label, but also all independent artists across the globe. In all honesty, I don't think it's ethical. Share this with an artist so they don't get taken advantage of.
Whew, there it is. Life is not doom and gloom. I get it. I get there's the nature of how posts like that are trying to get some attention, but also I think there's some really valid and interesting things in there that I just wanted us to talk a little bit about. I think it is really interesting as far as the streaming data and just the different algorithms that wind up spiking and whatnot. The fact that there is an opportunity for the majors, if you will, to be in a position to obtain that information before the artists do, regardless of if they're independent, completely self-published, or signed to a label, for that information to be available to somebody else before the artist is unsettling, I guess, to say the least, because then, of course, what would be the natural thing there is to try to set up, it's like Deal or No Deal, right? Where it's like, it's almost as though they know that there's something, Deal or No Deal for anyone who doesn't, the classic game where you were betting on a certain amount in your briefcase and they were trying to offer you deals to sell that briefcase for less money than what you thought was going to be in there. Whatever, random analogy. The idea that one would come in and offer you an attractive, like, hey, we're going to pay you this much for your recording, for, for your catalog, for this release, for this set of releases, with the full knowledge that the algorithms, that something has been going well in the marketing world, or it just in, on some platform, that particular release or something, within your catalog is going to perform really well coming soon. That's alarming to me. That just feels really predatory in a sense. Like I got to shut my mouth right now. I want to hear what you guys have to say, but if I happen to be the one who had the opportunity to see those things beforehand with these artists, like how cool would it be to share that with the artists and to give them the chance to like start to work out what sort of momentum they can grab from that and how they can capitalize on that and maybe release other things alongside it, or what, just to really like have it benefit the person who's crushing it and who's doing the thing, instead of how can I squeeze the life out of this situation. And it just that doesn't sit well in my system. But again, kind of speculative. We don't have names of which, if any, of the majors are doing it. I'm just, it's an interesting subject. The idea, and kind of the bigger 50,000 foot view, the idea of majors getting interested in stuff that will impact independent artists. It's a curious thing. What's popping off your head? What do you think?
I feel like this is just a variant on what has happened for a very long time, which is that the major record labels look at artists, they look at what's kind of performing well. Way back, it's live shows and radio and whatever. Then more recently, streaming numbers of other tracks. And I get that this is a little bit more of a precog AI thing in the Matrix. I kind of get that it is a little kind of weird in that sense, but it's.
Did you just reference Minority Report? That was
Minority
awesome.
Report was Minority Report and the Matrix. There we go.
But K-Dick for the win, man. That's great.
I think so. But yeah, I get that this feels kind of new and kind of out there, especially with all the AI stuff. But I don't think the fact that the majors are open to kind of essentially taking advantage of smaller independent artists that's not a new thing. And I think it's just a reminder as independent artists to kind of protect your own worth, protect your own music, make sure you own as much as you can of your masters and all of that kind of stuff. And kind of advocate for yourself. And if you're doing the right things, if you are seeing that your music is growing and developing, then trust that process. And if you're able to do that on your own, then maybe you don't need that major label deal.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, a lot of this stuff, even just listening to that clip, right, it can seem so, it's just kind of so much to take in the moment and like and process, of just okay, what is, I mean, like you said, Mike, like, okay, what's the reality of something like this happening, maybe to someone in our network or something like this. But I feel like what this makes me think of is just experiences that we probably have all had as artists who at some point in time didn't really have much of a knowledge of the business side of the industry and just kind of the ins and outs of, whether it be licensing or having a manager or a label or working with another artist, just all the things that are involved. I feel like for me, like this kind of stuff can very easily just go over my head, especially just listening to that. So I don't know. I kind of feel like it makes me just want to offer encouragement on what Ben said to maybe newer artists or producers who might be approached with things like this. I know, like for me, I've had stuff like this happen in the past, which I know you guys probably know about, where, you get caught up in a contract that you didn't know all the details of or this sort of thing. So I feel like I would highlight what Ben said in like, as long as you are being careful with ownership and what you're signing, and if you have the ability to have a lawyer or a family member who's a lawyer look over something that you're signing, and just being, I feel like with just the more common this seems like it's becoming, at least there's maybe a little more awareness on the artist side to be kind of cautious, right? I don't want to click, opt in immediately, right? Like I want to make sure I'm understanding what this is. So, I think the only other thing I'll add is, if someone comes to you with like a number and you have no concept of, am I going to lose out on all this money if I don't, sign this? That's a challenging place to be too. But
Yeah.
I feel like, as we've had experiences where we've probably been parts of some deals that we haven't loved, there's stuff that has worked. The ownership piece just kind of seems like, right, that's kind of like the staying thing that is like, okay, let's kind of adapt and, try and stick with that as much as possible, I guess, as things kind of keep shifting.
Yeah.
That's good.
Kirk, I want to hear you. I just want to respond on that real fast, Marshall. Like, it's almost like when those numbers come by, like here's a lump sum for, to take, these master recordings off your hands for whatever period of time or whatnot. That's like almost assuredly when that sort of offer comes in. And it's not as though the offer isn't legit. Like, let's just set aside the scam potential of all that. Which is another whole thing. That's not what we're talking about right now. But the idea of like a legit offer for, for a handful of songs or, some release or whatever. The idea behind any contract that would come together like that is that the person who's offering the money is absolutely saying, I believe that I am going to make more money than this and then some by taking control of this. Like it is a gamble in a sense because they're not assured of that. Well, but then, we listen to something like this and if they have, as Ben mentioned, the precog ability to look at what's happening and they're almost assured to know that something's about to explode. Like, how inexpensively can I purchase this intellectual property from this artist and maybe play into kind of what you're saying, Marshall, like just the emotion of the situation and like, well, I don't know, like I don't have much of an idea of what this might all be worth. And yeah, that actually sounds like quite a lot of money. And that would be really nice for right now, which would be great for that singular moment where that, shows up in your bank account. But how many multiples of that will you have passed up by just retaining ownership yourself? And yeah, it's just, I am not completely against offers like that in the sense of like there will never be one that makes sense for anyone ever. But really, when it comes down to it, the person who's offering the money is just making the gamble that they will assuredly, almost assuredly be making plenty more money than that by offering this to you, which is why the deal exists in the first place. So yeah, it just, Kirk, sorry about that, man. Just,
yeah, no, that's great. I mean, I'm tracking right there with you. It's like labels have always been in an acquisitions company, that's right. They acquire small businesses, they acquire other catalogs, and it's an investment to them,
Yep.
And they want to buy low and sell high and all those kind of things. And when you look at doing an investment, you look at the track record over, this thing has done this over 10 years. And so we know that if we buy it, it's going to make this much money. And so we buy it now and then it makes how much money down in 20 years or whatever it is. And now we're looking at what they're saying is that they're looking at that same model, but in a much faster time frame to where they're not looking at 10 years of data or they're not looking at 9 months of data, but they're looking at 4 days of data and saying, okay, this is, it's almost like day trading with people's music, essentially.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
And so, just like you were saying, it's like if someone's making you this offer, then they think they can at least make their money back. If not, make their money back with some interest. So you should at least pause and say like, okay, why do they think it's worth this? And do I need that right now? Because a lot of times it's like, okay, they're going to give you, let's say $20,000 and you're going to get it in 7 days. But really you could get that money in a year. Now, if you can just wait a year and spread the 20 grand over a year instead of getting it in 6 days, can you float it? Because now 5 years later, it's now going to be 60 instead of 20 or whatever, and you're not going to owe anything to anybody.
Yeah. Or, you get the 20 grand, but you maintain that 100% ownership and then some. Yeah. Where it's
right. So if you can wait so that it just trickles in instead of they drop it on you in exchange for, percentage or whatever. So there's part of it where it's like, okay, this means it has value. And then can you hold out long enough to still do what you need to do? But the thought I had is like, okay, so these labels are basically going to create their own distribution services. And I feel like things like AWOL and other places are kind of like that already, where they're essentially labels that have DistroKid-like functions. My question is, what is this data that they're getting?
Sure.
And how fast is it? It's like, what's the lead time? Because I feel like we live in an age where I can see metrics of a lot of things very quickly.
Yeah.
for my YouTube, for my Instagram, for my streaming, for my if I wanted to look up Google searches of my name, or I feel like there's a lot of stuff I can get. And so my question is what's the data that they're getting, and what's the lead time of that data? Because even with different distribution services, you can kind of go on, I guess with things like DistroKid and stuff, it's the lag time of reporting is pretty slow with the data. It's not very instantaneous. So I guess on the actual distribution services, I feel like it's slower than when you go straight to Amazon or Spotify for artists or Instagram. You can get a lot of the data really quick. And I feel like viral stuff happens so fast that it's how many days are they getting this, or how many hours? Is it hours? Is it days? It's because when something pops off, I feel like it happens
you're on
really
the
quick.
clock, man. Yeah. Ben, do you have any thoughts on that? I think one of the things that just came into mind while you were saying that, Kirk, is, and it's probably outdated at this point, but I seem to remember at some point, take Spotify, for example, you can see what happened in the last 24 hours. Then you can see, like custom time period or whatever, 7 days, 28, that sort of thing. But when you release a brand new, whether it's a single or an EP or an album, I believe that, and again, it may be outdated at this point, but at some point within the last year or two, you were able to watch real time, how many streams are coming in, and it would update every couple seconds. It would almost show the number, or, show it on a graph or whatever it was. And I think that was only live for a short period of time, whether it was 24 hours or a few days or whatever. But it's that data exists. And so that just makes me wonder, well, maybe that data, there is the ability to tap into that data for every record, for every artist, everywhere at any given moment. And we're just only the user experience as an artist, behind, in the artist portal of, a platform like Spotify is we get to see whatever they decide to show us, but maybe there are levels, for the labels or whatnot, where they're able to watch those second by second spikes that, that again, were, and maybe the call from, somebody like Spotify was just, well, the more information we put into the hands of the artists, the more they're going to be able to figure this stuff out by themselves and be able to, forge their own future, as opposed to, having, just a little bit of, keeping it behind the curtain. I don't know. I'm making stuff up at this point, but
I think with Spotify, whenever you release a new record, you get 7 days of what you're describing, which is kind of the by the minute or second or whatever, updates. Amazon, you get that the whole time. If you view it by 24-hour view, you can see everything over time. You can see by it updates itself straight away. So that, as you say, the data exists for sure. The major labels will have access to greater levels of that data. What I would say with this specific video that you were referencing, I would imagine that what they're talking about is an aggregate of, yes, some of that streaming data, that kind of early streaming data, but a lot of it will be things like mentions on TikTok, mentions on Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads, all of the whole ecosystem of where people are talking about music, which probably hints at what's going to pop off soon. And so I feel like that kind of aggregate look is something that as artists and as an independent kind of businesses, we do not have access to, and definitely not to be able to make any kind of meaningful conclusions with. But I think if you do have an aggregate of that, you're able to see, okay, this is something that is kind of rapidly increasing in mentions, and therefore, and we're seeing something here on streaming that's likely to mean that we are going to, see a significant screaming boost in, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days time when this new record releases. Yeah. But my feeling with all of this is, yes, great. The majors will have this and they'll have their proprietary systems and all the rest of it. But how long is it realistically before people like Chartmetrics, before people like Songstats build their own versions of this? And then anyone can pay $50, $100 a month and just get access to it. So I feel like totally. There's a window here maybe that the majors have this, but then very soon this technology is going to exist for people to be able to buy and to subscribe to. So for me, it's not so much doom and gloom. It's more of a kind of a glimpse into the future of being able to kind of predict musical success, especially with those kind of like super viral, super kind of hype style artists. For ambient music, is this going to be something that is massively impactful? I would, at least where I'm sitting today, I would feel like probably not so much.
Sure.
Yeah.
Good perspective. Good perspective. That it is interesting to think about that little window of time that it is available only to a certain subsect, and the emotional artist, the one who doesn't have the confidence perhaps yet that what they're doing is something that's going to make it, even though they're awesome and they just want that quick fix. Like that's what a sad little purgatory that we're in for the little foreseeable future before those steps. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not something that really should be hidden. I mean, that is just as public knowledge as just about anything else is. Those kind of what everybody's been saying. And yeah, I'm fascinated by really, and maybe just to turn a left corner just for a couple minutes. I do find it, I know some version of this has been going on for however long, but there is a little bit of a vote of support in the independent artist camp. The idea that like the majors, like that they're, if they were succeeding to the degree that, that success used to be, they wouldn't have time to run after indie artists, this, that, and the other thing. Like it just would not be a thing. And so for there to be interest in how to begin to, not take advantage of, but begin to be a player in the field of the independent artist space, I find that as almost like a vote of confidence in what we are doing as independent artists. It makes it feel a little bit more stable, makes it feel a little bit more like things are going well. This is a great space to be in. And I just hope it doesn't get, and I don't think it will, but just absolutely destroyed by something like this. And I don't see how it would, but it is markedly interesting. The idea of almost doing these like pint-sized versions of some of the bigger catalog buys that we've seen from, some of the massive artists. Like, Michael Jackson sold this, for 700, like the rights to his catalog for this much, and Sting for this much, and Paul Simon for this much. And this is kind of like the baby version of that in a sense. But yeah, it's, I'm just going to receive it as a vote of confidence that, hey, there are good things happening. And yeah, I appreciate your vote of confidence in me that you want to make an offer, but I'm good. Appreciate it. Thanks much. Have a great day.
Exactly.
Man, grateful for all you, and yeah, let's keep doing what we do. It may attract the attention of some or a lot of crazy things, but ultimately, if we're making good stuff, the good stuff will find its home. And yeah, but maybe, just maybe, there will be one or two people steered in the correct direction a couple degrees and will make a different call after listening to this than they would have made had they not just chewed through it a little bit. So saving the world one podcast episode at a time, guys. Grateful for your part in it. Here we go.
Cheers. Yep.
Appreciate
Thanks,
y'all. Awesome. Thank you for listening to the All Ambient podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you can catch every conversation we have with all these incredible people who share the same passion. I'm looking forward to the next time, and I hope you are too. Can't wait to see you then, and until then, have an incredible day. Here's hoping this music and the heart behind it makes your day and life that much better. We'll see you next time.